We are a mere 2 weeks away from world leaders, the top 20 economies in the world, flying into OR Tambo. And you know what they're not going to see is potholes and pointsmen, decay and dirt, homeless people. Yeah, no, lucky them. According to Lesufi, Johannesburg is ready to host the G20. Minus Trump, that news came in yesterday. He decided, nope, definitely not attending. This shatters a dream of Ramaphosa's. He has a dream of handing over the G20 flame, so to speak, to Trump at the end of November. And this is so important to him. And I guess it is because he brought it up in front of the cameras when he was having that very memorable White House visit. I think that South Africa will never, ever forget. Well, let me show you what is happening around this esteemed event, the G20. But honestly, from my reading, if I had to summarize it for you, we're spending a whole bunch of our money to achieve nothing but another committee. I kid you not, guys. Join me. Let's ramble. Before we get into my next ramble, don't forget to subscribe. It really supports my channel. It helps my channel grow, and it is a literal financial benefit to me that costs you absolutely nothing. Otherwise, do me a favor, drop me a like, drop me a comment. Let me know if there's any other G20 news, the tea, that I haven't got my dirty paws on yet. Other than that, let's get into it. Wayne Duvenacher from OTA described it as lipstick on a pig. G20 beautification efforts stamped as absolute disgrace. I agree. This year, flower arrangement with the G20 is a classic example of BEE, improper procurement processes, cadre deployment. Because if you look at the flower arrangements achieved by the UK, Japan, Disney World does some fabulous ones. This looks like they skimped on the flowers. I hope they have a contractor in place who's going to run past this and water it every now and then. I do not see this little G20 flower bed lasting for the next 2 weeks. The article says security will be tight for the time dignitaries are set to arrive and throughout the 2-day event, with at least 20 hotels earmarked for full-time surveillance. They're talking about security a lot, but I tell you, South Africans are well informed that the entire police force is currently, embroiled in a whole corruption case. So please continue to tell me full-time surveillance. I presume by private industry. The route to be traveled by the foreign diplomats has been the focal point of cleanup operations. Yes. Items still on the checklist are street cleaning and litter picking, cleaning illegal dump sites, sweeping streets, and the disinfection of smelly areas. Upon arrival, dignitaries passing through OR Tambo International will be greeted by a welcoming committee, Committee Number 1, featuring a range of cultural groups. When I read stuff like this, I'm like, yay, how much is this costing me? We intend to keep this mode of collaboration and adopt it as a blueprint we will use indefinitely to build a better province for everyone. All I hear there is campaign speak. Local elections, build a better province. Sure, said the man whose big idea about, safety wardens was illegal. It is an absolute disgrace that the same urgency and resources aren't applied to fixing crumbling infrastructure, restoring reliable water supply, and addressing ongoing service delivery failures that citizens and residents live with daily. And this is from Kaiser Echio, who spoke to The Citizen. Around-the-clock site security has been arranged for major electricity and water infrastructure points. So let's talk a bit more about the security that everybody keeps bringing up. Radio Islam has reported that South Africa doesn't have a safety standard. How crazy is that? While all countries have around the same safety standards, SA is the only one that has never developed its own safety standard. What? This comes about because Operations Director at Gauntlet Security Solutions and bomb expert Jimmy Ruet was arrested after attempting to prove that South Africa's security was not adequately prepared for the upcoming G20 Leaders Summit, which is being held at Nasrec. What does the quality of the Nasrec building look like nowadays? I must actually do a Google Earth look. Deputy Government Spokesperson William Baloyi said the arrest underscores the readiness of South African security services to protect delegates attending the summit. A comment that came up in this post. Funny, you'd think the ANC would be experts since the antics in the 80s. That is the first thing I thought of. I'm sorry. Another comment said, I admire this guy's goals. Sometimes, to prove a point about security, you simply walk into places they say you can't go. His arrest proves his point. They didn't catch him. He wanted to be caught. I 100% agree. Because if he wasn't caught, then it hasn't proved anything. Like some newspaper's going to believe that he walked in and walked out without being caught. Being caught proves that he was there. See, because according to Lesufi, Gauteng ready to host G20 summit. Vows lasting improvements beyond events. Lesufi said the preparations process not only ensured readiness for the global event, but also created a long-term framework for faster and more integrated service delivery across the province. You know what? I can't trust you. You failed us dismally for 30 years. And now suddenly I must turn around and be like, oh, okay. I don't mind being abused by your incompetence and corruption for another 5 years because of some stupid promise that you were only forced to make because of the G20. Listen to this, what Lesufi says. It's almost like he's like, oh, this has been so difficult, but we got it done, guys. We got it done. The thing is that if they had been doing the things they needed to do every month, every day, every year, it wouldn't have been so difficult, Lesufi. But you packed it all into like 3 months. You literally packed 30 years of fail into 3 months. And then we must believe you that this is an ongoing effort. And how did you put it? More integrated service delivery. That. It puts a vile taste in my mouth. So here he has a statement making us want to feel sorry for him. We got it done. You must celebrate our efforts. Reward us by voting for us in next year's local elections. The work that we have done in the last 4 months, it has been a difficult moment. Doing your job is a difficult moment. Delivering on the services which we pay you to do is a difficult moment. We had to pull other municipalities that were not ready. Okay, we have to reprioritize our budget to focus on this mandate. Lesufi, I've seen your audit reports. You didn't have a budget. You are in billions of deficit for just electricity and water. So no, what budget? We had to bring other agencies that were working alone so that all of us can have an integrated approach to resolve the challenge faced by our citizens. That's called everyday business. That's how you do business. It's called project management. You generally, unlike your president, by the way, Mr. Cyril, I know he doesn't do it very often, but I know for sure that if there's a project such as running a major city, the absolute financial powerhouse of South Africa, you generally have integrated approaches where all your other agencies meet at least once a month. They should be sending reports to the Premier. Oh wait, isn't that you? We bring other agencies that were working alone so that we can have an integrated approach to resolve the challenges faced by our citizens. More like resolve the challenges faced by our ego and the fact that we have literal all over our faces. Listen, Lesufi, all of that entire statement means that you actually don't know how business works, because all it says is that that's business. You meet with your other agencies, you pull in other municipalities, you didn't have to reprioritize your budget. How long have you known that the G20 is coming to South Africa? Absolutely ridiculous that this level of incompetence is just openly discussed like this, and then he makes it out like we should give him a frickin' noddy badge. Would you like me to send you a trophy, Zufi? A final part of my ramble is that the task force urges formation of a global panel to tackle inequality emergency. This coming from a man who has 24 townhouses. He's worth something like 6.4 billion rand, dollars in a couch. Inequality emergency. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. There's your inequality. Johan Rupert. There's your inequality. Government salaries. There's your inequality. But you know what? Don't worry about it, because they're going to have the formation of a new international panel on inequality. And those people are going to be paid to attend those meetings. They're going to be flown in. They're going to have meetings. Meanwhile, the people who have suffered inequality will see a meager 5% of the budget allocated to this. The extraordinary committee of independent experts on global inequality, chaired by some Nobel Economics Prize what. The committee's main recommendation is for the establishment of a new permanent international and independent panel. Another one, inspired by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, to assess and monitor inequality globally. We're going to have new permanent international and independent panel, which was recommended from the International Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And that comes from the Extraordinary Committee of Independent Experts on Global Equality. Are you keeping up? I'm not keeping up. But I honestly cannot believe that we're having another committee, another panel. And this is where the budgets go for every single country. The UN, what have you achieved, UN? Did you know the UN is prolific in assault and prolific? And I will link a documentary in the description for you to watch. But all of these charity organizations that go global, world peace, health, hunger, alles, the people who are on the ground doing the so-called charity work are also the people who are assaulting and the women and children in those communities. It is horrifying. At some point, I had to sit back and say, who am I supposed to trust? Who am I supposed to trust? Clearly, my government isn't great. I mean, clearly, all of these world organizations for hunger and poverty and whatnot, implicit in trafficking and crimes. All of our private companies, Vodacom, MTN, Nedbank, all of them have been caught, tied, prosecuted, alleged, all of this is alleged, to help money flow out of this country, tied directly to state capture, and. Private companies, government, world organizations, no one. You can literally trust no one. I hope that's not too of a negative end, guys, but I really think the questions need to be asked, and I really have this inkling that I need to educate people on how entangled private and government are. The fact that government employee pension funds are tied to the likes of Woolies, Clicks, Ad Hoc Ingram, it never ends. And then the big boys, the apartheid beneficiaries, the Johan Ruperts, they own a whole bunch of other companies. Who are you supposed to trust? Now they're creating more inequality committees. We have promises from failed premiers that, oh no, this is a long-term initiative. And he's wanting a noddy badge because he eventually did his job. What cray-cray world have I woken up in? I'm going to end it off there. I really want to know if you guys know how entangled private companies are with government. So I make a couple of videos. I have the PIC video, for instance, and I'm putting together a video that shows how Vodacom, MTN, and Telkom are tied to internet shutdowns, pulling money from the government out of the country. It's just disgusting. It really is. Guys, keep it together. Local elections are around the corner. Watching the G20 events unfold is going to be mursa entertaining. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for all the support. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. I appreciate all the support, no matter which one you choose. Have a great day, guys. Over and out.